Chance, Georgia, and Kathy Keefe of Kids Chance, Washington, moderated by Barbara Milligan from Kids Chance of America. Before we get started, I do have a few reminders for everyone. Please share your name and Kids Chance, state that you are representing in the chat box. The chat box is located at the top of your screen. Click on the chat to open this feature. Any questions that you have during the webinar can be entered into the chat box. We will make sure to take time at the end of the webinar to answer as many questions as we can. With the number of the people on this call, we do hope have everybody on mute so that all information can be cohesively presented. Lastly, all of the materials from the webinar and a recording of the webinar will be made available on the Kids Chance website and sent to you in a follow-up email. Now I'll turn it over to our moderator, Barbara.
Okay, thank you, Amber. As Amber said, we have Mara here from Colorado, and she is the director of the Pinnacle Foundation, which is our Kids Chance organization affiliate in Colorado. And Mara, say hello to everyone. Mara is, she works with the Colorado group, and they have a very large golf tournament that raises a lot of money, which she'll be telling you about. And we have Lori from Kids Chance of Georgia. Lori is a longtime volunteer of Kids Chance Georgia and has been involved with many of their golf tournaments over the years, including the current Top Golf tournament, which she'll be talking about. And we have Kathy Keefe here from Kids Chance of Washington. And Kathy helped get the inaugural Kids Chance of Washington golf tournament off the ground last year. So we kind of have a gamut of organizations represented here that we thought would be helpful for you. And they are going to talk to us about their tournaments and how they manage them and what they do. So these are kind of the basics of what we will be discussing. So we're going to give them each an opportunity to just briefly present their golf tournament and what they do. And we're going to start with Mara and the Pinnacle Foundation.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here. So I work for Pinnacle, and we have an annual tournament each year in the summer down at the Broadmoor Hotel, which is in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And it's a very historic, very fancy hotel. If you have not heard of it, it draws people by itself. So it's really great that we're able to have the tournament there because people love to attend. We've been in existence since 2000. This will be our 21st tournament this year because COVID knocked one out for us. So we are doing our 21st tournament in June of this summer. And we have an 18-hole course. There's two of them. So we hold an 18-course scramble on both courses. And we have about 200 golfers. We've had more than that in the past, but we have capped it at 200 because of the pace of play. We found if we're over that, it definitely slows the pace of play. So we have 200 golfers, and the role of the event is we have an award ceremony, we have lunch, and then checking the golfers in. My role during that time is just to mingle with everybody, thank them for being there. I do have 2 scholars with me during that time, and I get to introduce them to people that are attending. Then they go out and play. We have about 5 to 6 hours of play time to get everybody through both courses. And then during that time, I sit with the scholars, and we are at the halfway house, they call it. It's called the Oasis down at the Broadmoor, and it's a cute little house that's there with the restrooms, and Bloody Marys are served there. Definitely some waters, breakfast sandwiches, and all of that's covered for the players. So they come in there, take a little breath, breather, use the restroom, and then get to meet myself and the scholars there. And then they move on. And then as they're coming in for the luncheon and awards, that's when we do the program while everybody's eating there.
Great. Thank you, Mara. So that's 21 years of golf tournament. That's a pretty long history. So then Kids Chance Georgia. Lori, do you want to tell us about your event?
Absolutely. So I have been volunteering, like Barbara said, since the late 1990s. When we actually, for many years, had a traditional tournament, and it's called the Kids Chance Golf Classic. Several years ago, we changed it to a Top Golf event because there were other golf tournaments that benefited Kids Chance. And this was a great event that people who either aren't traditional golfers or who only want a half a day commitment versus a whole day commitment. So it's worked out really well for us. And this year will actually be our 30th anniversary. We have moved the date to coincide with Kids Chance Awareness. So it will be again in November. And the fun thing is, I love the photo clear to the right where you see one of our ladies who came from work in her high heels and still had fun playing. So it's been a great event. In the lower left-hand corner, you see a couple years ago, we invited the teams to create t-shirts, and then we gave prizes for the best t-shirts. So it's just a great event that people just come out and have a lot of fun at. So I think is our sponsorship level next, maybe?
No, I think.
Here we go. So our goal every year is to sell out one whole floor. Topgolf has 3 floors, and we like to sell out the whole floor, which we did in 2021, which is 204 golfers. Their net revenue was a little over $15,000. There are Topgolf games. We have a lunch buffet and awards banquet, and we either have 1 or 2 of our students available to meet with everyone, and they actually get to play that day and have some fun as well.
Great. So thank you, Lori. We'll be hearing much more about your tournament here in a minute. And Kathy, you want to introduce us to your new golf tournament in Washington?
Absolutely. So this golf tournament was our initial. It took place in lieu of the normal gala that we have at Safeco Field in conjunction with the Washington Self-Insurers Association, and they have it at that's where the Mariners play. It's a great event as well, but this year we were unable to be indoors, and so we pivoted. And so I am a golfer, but I haven't played in a number of years. So this was a fun event for me to eventually have under my belt. I'll just put it that way, because it was, everything starting from the beginning. We held the golf tournament at a location just outside of Seattle, so easy for people all over the state of Washington to access. We had business and labor community and vendors that usually work with the workers' compensation community together to fundraise. And I helped to plan the event because I'm the Kids Chance of Washington fundraising co-chair. We had a shotgun start with 18-hole tournament, and we charged $150 per player. We had opportunities for vendors and other sponsors to host each of the 18 holes for $1,000 each, with booth opportunities. And they had raffles and other fun events. We had a roving photographer taking pictures of the teams. We had an initial turnout of 50 golfers. And next year, I'm sure we'll grow this and have more. But everyone had a great time. The weather held. In Seattle, sometimes it rains. You might have heard that. But it was a great warm day. There were no forest fires in the area. I mean, those kinds of things are the things you think about because you want everyone to have fun and be safe and all those things. So we had a luncheon. We held a raffle. We had hydration stations where the golf carts went around and served libations. And at the luncheon, we thanked our sponsors. We weren't able to get any of our kids this year, but next year we hope to, when we have in the past with other events.
Great.
I think that's,
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much, Kathy. I think maybe we were going to ask a poll question, so let's do that now. We'd just like to know who has an existing tournament. I know golf is very popular, so you see the question on your screen. If you'll let us know, do you have one, or you don't have one, or you're planning one? So those are the choices, and let us know so we kind of get a sense of what the audience is here in terms of your knowledge and expertise. And as you're answering this, I want you to think about, you know, the golf, when we talk about golf tournaments, we're talking mostly about, you know, 18 holes on a golf course. Lori's doing a Top Golf event, and I know several states have started that, but it also could be a mini golf tournament. So it doesn't have to be on a big golf course. It could be mini golf, or also popular now are the Frisbee Golf. So Frisbee Golf is getting to be very big. I know my son was on the Frisbee Golf team in college, and I said, that's a real thing. But indeed, apparently it is. So there are all kinds of tournaments. It doesn't have to be traditional 18 rounds. You know, it can be best ball and all kinds of things. So
Well, it looks like everybody has answered. Almost everyone's answered. So I'll share the results.
Great.
But it looks like 86%, 18 of our answers were an enthusiastic yes, they have an existing golf tournament. 5% with no, not yet, and 2 answers that are currently planning their debut event. So that's
Great.
exciting.
That is great. And we're going to have lots of, hopefully, opportunity to ask questions if we can get through this quickly enough. So if you are thinking of questions along the way, please put them in the chat box, and Amber's going to keep track of that for us so we can address those at the end. And also hopefully take a look at who's on this webinar with each other so that you can reach out to each other afterwards and maybe get some help from your colleagues. So first, let's talk about kind of the basics of your tournaments, ladies. Can you tell me how much you raise? Now, I know a couple of you already said, but tell me how much you raise, and do you know approximately how much of your revenue that provides in terms of your annual budget? Mara, we'll just start with you.
Sure. So we raise around 300,000 for the tournament. Our operating budget for that or the expenses is about 100,000. So we net about 200, a little bit over 200,000 per tournament. We are very lucky to have Pinnacle Assurance as the company that backs the foundation and this golf tournament. So some of our fees come from Pinnacle itself, but majority of them for this event come directly from the foundation. So again, we net around 200,000 from this. It was about 1,400 per golfer.
Does that provide the bulk of your your scholarship budget, or?
It does, yes. So our scholarships, we have been granting out about 450,000 per year. So it's about half, but then we make up for the other half through some other events that we have. But this is definitely the majority, the biggest
big one. Mm-hmm. And Lori, what about you?
So we raised right at about 15,500 for our event. And since I'm a volunteer, I honestly don't know exactly how much of the operating budget that is for our state Kids Chance. So sorry, I can't answer that question for you.
No worries. How about you, Kathy? Do you know?
I do know. We raised approximately $42,000, and that's about half of a requirement for our scholarships. Typically, we have other events. We've had virtual fun run and that kind of activity, and the costs were somewhere in the neighborhood of around $6,000 for the luncheon.
$42,000 for a first-time golf tournament is really good. So congratulations on that. That's terrific. So we've actually gotten this question in advance of the webinar, but I'm wondering how many of you are using software to manage your registrations and what software that might be.
We use Cvent through our events team.
And wait, C vent, can you spell
Cvent.
that?
Yep, the big letter C, and then it's
Vent.
lowercase VENT.
And is that event specific?
It is. Yes, so
Okay.
our events team uses it for all Pinnacle events, and we just happen to be able to utilize that for the tournament as well. And that was with registrations, they can pay on there. We can communicate through there as well.
Okay. And sponsorships go through there?
Yes.
Okay. And what about you, Kathy?
So we use Anadot for the registration of the participants, and it can track the teams. And then the sponsorships do not, to my knowledge, go through that.
Okay, can you spell that for us so everybody
Yeah,
knows?
it's AN, oh, sure I can. Anadot, ANEDOT.
Okay, great, thank you. And what about you, Lori?
Kids Chance of Georgia uses Constant Contact for registration. They can pay for the registration. They can sign up for sponsorships and pay for those. I get a spreadsheet with all of the teams and all of the information from that.
Okay. And I know we had a question around the ad, like if you're doing an auction or raffle or anything that goes with it. Is anybody using software for auction as part of your, and we'll talk about additional revenue, but I'm just wondering about the software.
So
Nothing?
we sell our tickets ahead of time. So you don't have to be at our event to participate in a raffle. So we do use Constant Contact for that as well.
Okay. I would love it if those of you who are listening, watching, could put in the chat box if you are using a software either to manage your events, for registration, or for an auction. We'd like to start getting some ideas of who's using what so we can pass that along to states as they are inquiring.
We had a
Okay.
quick question about the softwares mentioned by our panelists. Was there a cost associated with any of those, with Cvent and Constant Contact and the other software that were mentioned?
There is for Cvent. I'm not sure exactly. I just came in 2 years ago, so this is actually my first tournament that I just participated in. That does not come out of my budget. It comes out of Pinnacle's, but I can find that information out.
There
Okay.
is a cost for Anadot for each entry. And I'm not sure exactly how much that is.
Yeah.
And I believe there is for Constant Contact, but again, that's not information that I'm privy to.
Yeah, there is for sure. Okay, thank you for that. And again, if you put in the chat box, this is something I'd like to kind of keep track of, what states are using and what the costs are, and see, you know, there may actually be something we can do on a system-wide basis with event management at some point. So appreciate everybody's input on that. So that's the basics. Entry fees, we kind of, somebody mentioned $150. Was that you, Mara?
That was me.
Kathy. Okay, Mara, is yours similar or?
Ours is a little bit more. So we have a student sponsor, which is $5,000, and that's for one foursome. And then a twosome sponsor is $2,500. And then we also have individual sponsors, which is an individual player, and that's $1,250. And then the good faith value that they get to write off is it's $450 per golfer. So we just subtract that from what they're able to write off.
Okay, so let's go right, because you mentioned sponsors. So let's go right, because it sounds like you don't actually have, you can't just pay $150 and come golf. You have to be a sponsor in order to participate.
Correct. Yes, so we have our biggest sponsorship is the leadership sponsor. We usually get about 4 of those. And those are our people that are mostly involved with Pinnacle. Some are on our board of directors for Pinnacle, but then also for the Pinnacle Foundation, since we're a separate 501c3, 4 leadership sponsors. And then going down from there, we have our next one is a partnership sponsor. This one provides 2 foursomes, And we usually have about two companies that purchase this, and it's kind of a fight for who gets it first. They do like to join. We have unlimited spaces for these, but we do cap at that 200 golfer level. So these big companies come in first, and then we fill in with these lower levels after the partner sponsors. So we have the student sponsor. This majority of our sponsorships come from this level. Because that provides one foursome. So a lot of companies will come in at this level, and then they'll pick 4 people that they get to send to the tournament, and they will play together. And then we have the twosome sponsor, which is listed up there. And then that one is just for a twosome for $2,500. And then these are some sponsorships that if you're not able to come attend the event, sometimes people aren't able to actually be there to golf, or they really want to support somehow, they can purchase any of these sponsorship levels. So they could be the golf cart, the breakfast sponsor, lunch sponsor, their logos are out. We do have signs in multiple different places. And then we also give recognition in our program. The printed program, the leadership sponsors and the partner sponsorships are recognized during our event program that we actually personally thank during the event program, but these are printed in our printed program. I know that's a little confusing. And
Okay,
then,
so if we want to participate in your tournament, it costs $1,200.
yes,
minimum.
that's for an individual. Yes. So
Okay.
there's a separate lower level for that, but it's $1,250.
So don't everybody sign up at once. He's only got 200 spots. Okay. So that is now you know why they make so much money. And clearly your audience is the big corporate donors, the sponsors.
It is, yes. So we have a lot of investment managers as well that come in from out of state for this tournament. And that's kind of a big fun event for them to get together and be together during that time. It's an annual thing. So we see a lot of the same people that return. We also have an event the day before that's for investment managers only. And it gives they have their own golf tournament too that day. And then they have a dinner that evening. So they bring in some money there. We're able to get individual donations with envelopes there. But it also provides an opportunity for me to go in and speak to on behalf of the foundation and what we're going to do and what we present for the next day as well.
Great. Okay, Lori, you want to tell us about your sponsorship levels for Georgia?
Sure. We have the majority of our money comes from the golf bay packages, which are $600 and our 6 golfers. We do have an event sponsor, which we didn't sell this year, which didn't surprise me since it was post-COVID, and we came in at the end of the year when folks' budgets were already spoken for, but that tends to be a fun one since we have someone who donates a limo for the company's team to come to the event. We have a presenting sponsor for $5,000, and that comes with the 4 golf bays. Beverage sponsor, we sell 2 or 3 of those, depending on the number of companies that are interested. Dinner sponsor, we do 2 of, and the goal for the beverage and the dinner is to pay for all of our food and beverage, because our golfers like to have a beverage or 2 while they're playing. A photo booth sponsor, I wasn't aware how much fun people had at photo booths and taking selfies and group pictures, but that was very popular. This was the first year that we offered that. And I already talked about the golf bay packages. And then we do allow single golfers to sign up, and we add them to teams because inevitably some teams players have backed out the day of because of right now either sickness or their schedule didn't allow. And then we have some of our vendors who can't participate or can't be there the whole time, but want to come and network, and they will pay the $50, which it covers their food and beverage for the day. A lot of our sponsorships come from companies, but a lot of our golf packages, we have a lot of adjusters, case managers, attorneys groups, some of our smaller attorneys groups that's a good price point for them to come out and be able to network with folks.
Great. Okay, Kathy, what about you?
So we had offered whole sponsorships at $1,000, and a lot of the vendors, Gen X and some of the nationwide companies took advantage of that and had booths and had a lot of good fun contact with their clients. And this year we didn't sell out all of the 18 holes, but a lot of them. We had 2 hydration stations, $1,000 each, and we had signage on the golf carts going around, providing water and drinks to the golfers. And they had their names listed on the website and banners. And as well, with the hole sponsorship, we had yard signs that were at each one of the holes, thanking the donors for their contributions. And we had, can we go back to that last slide? Oh, that's fine. Anyway, yeah, the lunch sponsors, we had several of them, and they had recognition at the lunch, welcome the group, and one team, and they had their logo on the website and on a welcome banner. Okay. And we had a longest drive sponsor at 1,600, and we had signage at the drive hole and their logo on the website and banner as well. And they had one team of golfers. And closest to the pin sponsorship, we had signage at the hole, and they presented the award at the luncheon. They had one team of golfers, and they had their logos on the website and banner. And the player gift sponsor, they were able to provide gifts to the golfers, and they could be at the check-in providing that. And one team of players, logo on the website and on the sponsor banner.
Okay.
And then we had the sponsorship levels at the players level, $2,000 with their logo on the website and on the banners. And we had a number of those sponsorships, which was great. At the Augusta level, we had several sponsorships, and they had their logo on the website and banners, and the company logo on the website with a link to their company website, and an opportunity for them to provide a branded gift item. At the Masters level, we had, they could have 2 teams, logo on the golf gift and a logo on the event website and a link to their website as well, and a logo on the banner. They could have 2 teams as well. So we did not have anyone at the Masters level this year, but we hope to certainly in the future. But that is where the revenue came from. And as you said, it was for our first year, it was a great opportunity. And we had raffles as well. And I think we raised about a little more than $1,000 at the luncheon with that.
Great. And we'll get on to raffles. I jumped ahead there. So I want to just ask about sponsorship before we leave that topic, because it's pretty clear that the sponsorship dollars are where it's at in terms of the revenue, but that really is the primary fundraising vehicle. And I'm just wondering, for each of you, are the sponsorships being solicited like by your board, by your staff, by your volunteers, by your event committee in particular, or more by the full board? I'm just curious for each of you. And Kathy, you can go ahead.
Okay, so our board members certainly reached out to their members and clients, but we did mailings to all of the Washington Self-Insurers Association members, as well as our prior donors, to offer the sponsorships. And that was a great source for us. So it's the information that we already had regarding our donors, And then we also did newsletters at, all the labor folks that are involved with this community, medical and business people that have newsletters, and just the Washington Self-Insurers Association, for instance, had a conference, and we did some a short presentation for that as well.
So it sounds
We went to
like
golf tournaments, and we kind of went everywhere. But
it sounds like that mailing really paid off, as
It
well
did.
as personal outreach to folks. And Mara, I'm just wondering about yours. Do you have kind of existing sponsors that keep coming back every year, or do you have to go work hard and get new sponsors?
We do. We have existing ones that come back every year, and they're usually tied to our board, or Pinnacle Assurance's board. And then we also, since we're a workers' comp company, we have a large agency relations team that works for Pinnacle that uses this opportunity as a way to reach out to their agents that sell Pinnacle insurance. And they'll reach out to them, and then those agents also reach out to their customers. If they want to invite them to come with them, the agent might sponsor, buy a sponsorship, maybe a foursome or a twosome, and then they'll
Great.
invite their clients. So it's kind of a
it's,
combined effort with everyone.
not everybody has a big insurance company behind them like you do. However, it is a lesson of how you can leverage those relationships to bring in the sponsors. Lori, do you have anything to offer in terms of how you recruit?
So I have a committee, and we have been very purposeful about who we've added to the committee. A couple of years ago, we really wanted to tap into the claimant side of the bar for workers' comp. So we added a couple of claimants attorneys. Our board is active. They help us recruit. We have e-blasts that go out. We definitely have folks who come back every year. We have a lot of our, especially orthopedic medical groups who attend, but I have a pretty well-rounded committee that kind of taps into every part of the work comp community in Georgia. So they help reach out to those different folks to solicit sponsorships and players.
Great. And you brought up something earlier. I just want to reiterate that, know what time of year to go out to people, because it tends to be early in the year, right? If you wait until the end of the year, it's like the budget's gone. I'm sorry, I can't help you. So you got to think in advance in terms of your sponsorship strategy.
We send out a save the date in January each year. It just went out last week so that they know that it's coming and that we are having it. And then we'll follow up with a registration is open email to everybody in February.
Yeah.
Great. And you send that save the date via email?
Yeah,
okay.
Through MailChimp.
So that's free. So everybody can do that. Terrific. Okay. So let's talk about other revenue generators that you might do and what those involve. So Mara, do you have anything else that you're doing that is raising money?
We do. We sell mulligans and string. Those are our biggest sellers for the non-golfers. String. So they're able to either purchase a package of mulligans or they can purchase a set of string. And I think they're 3 foot long pieces. They're already measured out. They're already cut. We have a team that helps with that. And then they're able to put that on where their ball is and where they want the ball to be. And they can measure it out with the string, and then they get to put their ball where that measurement goes.
I see. So it's a cheating string.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I got it.
Those were a big hit. We sold packages of those, and I don't remember exactly how much we spent or how much we charged for those, but I just saw that question come through. I will find that out because our events.
So you can. So I'm a golfer. I want to purchase a package of mulligans and a package of string, and that's going to help my score. And you make some money.
Yes, and we did put a limit on it because some people that were the golfers were upset that they were not winning the tournament because all these people were using all these mulligans, and string was the first year. Last year was the first year we used the string, and it was a fun hit. Some people use fruit by the foot. It's the same concept, same length.
I like
that.
Something
fun to use, and So then the other thing is we used to do a silent auction for several years before I came on board. The reason why we didn't do it the year of COVID was just because we felt bad reaching out to companies to ask for donations when everybody was having such a hard time. So we didn't do it, and it wasn't, we realized that it didn't bring in as much as we thought it was bringing in, and also it was very time consuming. So we focused more on the personal items with those mulligans and the string, and having some fun around that.
Great. I think anyone who has ever done a silent auction will agree. They are very time consuming. And sometimes you don't get as much bang for your buck, but in other cases, you know, they can be very useful depending on the situation. So Lori, I think maybe I have a slide for you here about what you guys do.
And we do a raffle during our event, and it's 100% profit because everything is donated. We have a lot of great restaurants in Atlanta, and they've been very generous with donating gift cards. Our limo company will donate a limo for like 4 hours in an evening. And a couple of years ago, one of the people who won one of the fine dining gift cards also won the limo in the raffle. So he got to take his wife out for a nice dinner. And we joked about it when he pulled the dinner, that, oh, wouldn't it be fun if he got the limo? And then he did. Fine jewelry from some of the places around Metro Atlanta. The tickets we sell both ahead of time and at the event, they are $20 for one or $50 for three. And if folks, I was shocked, we probably sell more tickets before the event online than we do actually at the event. But we're able to raise a couple $1,000s for the event just on donated items. And
That's
it's really
great.
not a whole lot of work.
So you don't have to be present to win.
Nope, we deliver.
Okay, I love it. All right, and Kathy, what about you?
We had, we were selling raffle tickets, 3 for $25, and the board members generously donated really nice gift baskets. And we had some sports memorabilia and sports swag that were donated as well. The Crack and our new hockey team, we had gifts from that, and people bid on, or they won some of these gift baskets. And there was one item that I don't know why it was so popular, but it was a large camp chair that had room for like 6 people to sit in, and lots of drink holders. And everybody wanted to have their picture taken in that, and that was one of the most popular items. So it was good fun. Yeah, I was pleased that we were able to raise over $1,000, and we didn't offer this in advance, but I like the idea of offering it online because it's an easy way for folks just to donate. And if they don't have to be there to win, that's great. It's a great idea.
Right. And I just want to go back for a minute and clarify. I know, Mary, you have a luncheon that you do with yours. That's the awards ceremony. Kathy, you guys are doing an award ceremony?
We did the award ceremony at our luncheon, and it was after play, after the golf tournament.
And
it was
Lori, do you guys do a luncheon as well?
We do. We have a buffet that goes on during the event, and then we have an awards ceremony as soon as it's over.
Okay, so all 3 of your events include that lunch afterwards that has an award ceremony that goes with it.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's where you're doing raffles and some of this other stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. More ideas. I just thought, we'd have a chance to kind of throw out some other ideas. We've heard a lot of great ideas about how people make money. There was the photo booth idea. Now, Lori, did you guys charge for the photo booth?
The photo booth was one of the sponsorships for $1,500, and one of our folks bought that and provided it for the event.
Right. So that's a great idea in terms of money making, and it's fun. So it's kind of like the string or the fruit roll up, you know, it's fun. So what are some of these things that you can do to add some fun? And the mulligan, Mara said, you guys do the mulligans and the strings. Does anybody do hire a pro where you have a pro? So
We do-
Mary, you do that?
We do
Can you
beat the
tell us?
pro, and then we also do the hole-in-one contest as well.
Can you tell us how you do that?
We hire a pro, so that costs about $650. And it's someone that is somehow affiliated with Pinnacle. I'm not exactly sure how. This was my first year that I met her, but she has so much fun with it. And so she plays at one of the holes, and then they can donate a certain amount of money to try to beat her. And then there's awards at the end for both courses too. So everything that we do, we have it on both courses. So we can kind of almost make double because we're playing it on both ways. So we have one pro on one course and then another pro on the other course.
So that's beat a pro. You're trying to beat the pro.
Mhm.
The other thing that I've read about is to hire a pro. So it's kind of like the mulligan where you can hire the pro to actually make your shot if you pay them. So it's a fundraising, you know, add-on. I'm going to pay the pro to do it so I can get a good score. And it's another fundraising opportunity. Rent a
Barbara,
caddy. Yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
I was going to say, when we were doing the tournament, we hired a long driver, one of the folks who actually does the long drive competitions professionally. And at the longest hole, the players could pay him to take their shot, and
What a
all
good
of the money came back to the kids. And everybody loved getting to meet the long driver. And nobody could see where he hit the ball, which was even more fun. So.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's awesome. So that's a similar kind of thing.
Yeah.
The helicopter drop, I loved this. Is anybody doing a helicopter drop? Like, does nobody have a helicopter? What's the problem here? So this apparently is a thing where you get a helicopter and you sell the balls in advance, and then they drop out, you know, 1,000 golf balls out of the helicopter down to the hole. And if your ball, whoever's ball gets closest to the hole wins whatever the prize is. Now, some organizations have apparently made quite a bit of money on this. My question is, who has a helicopter and how much does the helicopter cost? But apparently you could also use like a bucket truck or a big ladder or things like that and still have the same idea of the ball drop. So I thought I'd throw that out for anyone who might have a helicopter pilot who is on their board.
We had one
Peer-to-peer,
question.
yeah.
We had one question while we're on the more ideas slide about the recommended charge for the hiring of a pro.
Ours was for Beat the Pro, ours was $650 per person.
So if I wanted to beat the pro and participate, I had to pay $650
Sorry, no, it was $650 to hire the pro.
to hire the pro.
for the
I'm
day.
not sure exactly how much it was to participate with that, but I can find that out.
Okay. It would probably be a similar thing to the, you know, you're buying a package of mulligans. So when I'm going to buy my mulligan package for whatever, $100, or I'm going to buy a shot from the pro for $100 or $50 or whatever makes sense within the scale of what you're charging for your event. Okay. I just wanted to mention the peer-to-peer fundraising. I don't know who might have done this, but it is something we're seeing in a lot of events where the players actually get involved in raising money for their teams, so that you kind of create a challenge of which team can raise the most money, and they then have people sponsoring their team. So you've seen that in walks, marathons and walks and that kind of thing. So some people are starting to apply that within the golf tournament setting. Okay, so let's see what else. Kids Chance Scholars. I think Kathy, you said you weren't able to have any this year.
Not this year.
You hope to, and Laura and Mary, you both have used we've had some there.
Mhm.
And did they have a special role, or they went to the lunch, or?
Yeah, in ours, we had, last year, we had 2 of them attend the event, and they were able to the whole day and mingle with everyone. And then, like I said, during the middle of at that halfway house, the Oasis, they were able to sit there, and we had a big sign that said "Meet the Scholars." So people would come in and get their drink, get their beverage, get their snack, and then they're able to talk to them and meet them. They want to know, where they're going to college, what they're studying in, and that type of thing. And I think it was really great for both, for the people who are participating, but also for the scholars as well. And then we had the opportunity during our program, while everyone's eating lunch, for the scholars to get up and tell their story. And that is just heart-wrenching. I mean, both of these cases were fatalities, and it had people crying all over. But it was great to be able to share those and be vulnerable, and see how these scholarships are helping those students. And then one had their mom there as well. So we were able to recognize the mom, and she had lost her husband. So it was really, really great to have them there sharing those stories, and being able to talk to the sponsors.
And that's your mission moment, that really helps connect. Why is everybody there, and why should they care about what you're doing? So, if you are doing an event and you have a chance to incorporate your scholars, it's always a good idea to tie it back to the mission. So real quickly, because I want to leave some time for questions, the thanking, anybody doing anything fun, unique in terms of how you thank either your sponsors or your volunteers or your golfers?
I usually send personal thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, Mara.
No, go ahead.
I usually send personal thank you emails for myself to our attendees, so that it's more personal, not coming just from Kids Chance. And then also thanking my volunteers, because I could definitely not do any of the events without them.
Right. So Mara, you do essentially the same?
Yep, we do the same thing. I think that personal outreach is really important, to let them know how much they're appreciated. We also thank them during the program, and have them stand up and acknowledge them in person, who's there helping. And then also we, this was new this year, but we took we have pictures from scholars and quotes on how the scholarship has been beneficial in their life. And we were able to we had a great idea to run this on golf carts, but then we realized that the golf carts have GPS on them, and that's all people care about, was where their ball was and how far it was from the hole. So the video is supposed to be intended for that, to just kind of be on a constant roll. But we were able to email it out afterwards as a thank you, but it had pictures of the scholars and then their quote right next to it. And it kind of just went rolling through and thanked the scholars, and just showed them where their money is going towards, and then put a picture with a name. And I think that was really special. We've got good feedback on that.
That's awesome. So a little video that had the kids in it, and you sent it out afterwards. I love it. Kathy, anything?
Yeah, so I sent personal thank yous to the sponsors as soon as they made their donation, because this was our first go round. I was so excited when each and every donation was made. And as well, we thank them on Facebook and LinkedIn and our website, and as well, I know that the newsletters that went out to the various like labor and law firms that so generously donated, they were thanked personally by letters.
Great. And I think you mentioned, Kathy, you guys had a roving photographer that you use. And it's one of the things that I've done before at events where I have teams, is to make sure during the event you get a picture of the team, and then, send that picture to the people, to the sponsor of the team,
Right.
to the members of the team. You can print it out. Sometimes I would frame it. Sometimes I would email it, but people like to have that memory, and a lot of folks, they put it in their office and show.
Yeah, we did that as well. We sent out one of our sponsors provided the roving photographer, and then we were able to download all those photos and send them out, and so
That's
everyone
great.
had access to it. And it is a lot of fun, and it's a great memory.
Fantastic. I have one final question about challenges. Amber, I'm wondering if you have much in the way of questions for us? So just. so I
Yeah,
know-
a lot of the questions we've answered as we've gone along, but some that haven't been touched on is we've got April Gorin, and she's hoping for a checklist that kind of outlines start to finish all the checklist items for sponsoring of a golf tournament. So maybe that's something after today we can work on and get together and send out with the materials in the follow-up email for everybody.
Let me just clarify that. April, you're interested in a checklist for sponsors or a checklist for the whole event? So why don't you clarify that for us? Whole
the
event.
whole event.
Okay. There's some really good resources online for golf tournaments. So I'm not sure we need to reinvent that one, but what we can do, April, is I can send you some links when we send out the link to the video. We'll include some of those links because there's some great things out there in terms of a checklist and ideas. And so we'll pass that along as well. Okay.
Another
Go
Another
ahead.
question was providing the email addresses for our panelists. And I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows we will send that out with the follow-up materials for networking.
Great.
Another question specific to sponsors is how are we reaching out to the corporate sponsors? Are we relying on the inside contacts from those affiliated with Kids Chance or reaching out in some other way? That was from Jennifer Donnelly.
So I think, Kathy's example was they sent an actual letter out to the self-insured. You had a whole list of people you sent a letter out to. So that wasn't just, relying on your board for what kind of contacts they might have, but you really reached out beyond, correct, Kathy?
Yeah, well, we reached out to all the relationships that we've had over the years from various donors. And then as well, the board members reached out to their extended networks. And so we've exponentially, increased our donorship.
Right.
Right.
And it's probably a good idea, whether you're doing this for just this event or for your entire Kids Chance, to kind of keep a spreadsheet of prospects for sponsor prospects.
Yep.
So that, as you're going along with the year and somebody mentions they might want to sponsor something, you're really capturing that, who's the contact, who's the relationship with, and what are they interested in, so that when you get to your next event, you're ready. So my final question I want to pose is about challenges. We talked a little bit before our audience joined us about how much fun a golf tournament can be. And it really is such a great opportunity to connect people directly to your mission while you're also raising money to support it. But it's also, running an event is never an easy task. So any quick assessment about what kind of challenges you faced?
I think the biggest challenge that we faced, we had a small number of people in the organization that were participating in the planning, and everyone's busy, and everyone's even busier because of COVID and everything else that's going on. And so I don't think we had enough of a base. Next year will probably be better, to build on, but that was our biggest challenge. And we did get lucky in that we had some expert golf planner folks that at the last minute were able to help. But I think the larger the group and bringing in people who have had experience doing this kind of activity at the beginning and early.
Yeah. So having enough hands to just get the work done
Mhm.
can be a real challenge. And this is a great opportunity in terms of your organizations for bringing in people who might be interested, but might not necessarily be ready for the board. It's a good chance to try people out in an event capacity. So Lori, any challenges for you guys?
Kind of trial and error over the years since I've been doing it so long. Definitely having a very diverse group of volunteers. At first, it was just more, probably more marketing people versus more people from the work comp industry. So once we became more diverse, it was easier to get into some of the places, like some of the larger employers that maybe we hadn't been able to reach before. Because those are the folks who have the dollars that they want to give. It was just a matter of how do you get into them, and year after year, kind of, every year to me, it's a win if I can get one of those big employers. So just when I didn't have a very diverse committee, because I know nothing about golf, but I learned pretty fast. But having folks who did was really helpful.
Great. Mara, anything?
Yeah, we came across a few things this year since it was my first year doing it. We had some feedback from a lot of the golfers as far as pace of play, and with them being upset that it's taking too long. So we had to kind of troubleshoot that a little bit. And so that's why we're capping at 200 golfers and not going above that. And we also had to take some things away from on-course activities. There were a lot more fun things that they used to do. They had beverage holes. They had a lot of other things that were on course that just really slowed the pace of play. So people decided kind of pick and choose, what you want, what's important. And you can't do them all. So do a couple things that work. And hopefully that continues to move efficiently through there. And we also have a lot of people that want to participate in the event, which is a good problem to have. But in our case, we had to be really careful that the announcement of when the registration was open went out at the exact same time to everybody, because some people got in before others. And then we had to put out some fires there and try to find out some ways. That's when we've gone above 200 to allow other people in, and we just can't do that anymore. So that was something that we decided that we would take in our hands, and again, send like the save the date that goes out. This will be the first year that we'll also send out the registration is open. So everybody gets it at the same time and kind of off our hands at that point. And then whoever wants to forward it on to their other contacts, or if there's new people that they want to include, they can do so at that time. But at least we know it all goes out at the same time.
Great.
And then also the weather is another thing to keep in mind. Ours was outdoors this year, and that was also the first time that we've done that because of COVID. We decided let's have the luncheon outside, and we also pushed it to October instead of the summer, since that was still a little hesitant. And it was freezing. It's Colorado. You never know. It was so cold. It was freezing rain and everything. So they ended up bringing in heaters. We had the luncheon moved over to this thing that had an overhang. And so next year we're booking two. We have an indoor space too as a backup. They're not charging us because we've done it for so long there, which is really, really nice. But that's just something to keep in mind, to always have a backup in case something happens, or if you can't even have the tournament at all.
Yeah.
We've been able to, knock on wood, every year, but that's something that is a concern. And
Yeah,
I was
the weather,
thinking it could snow in October in Colorado. Who knows?
the weather is always a challenge when you're doing something outside, and then you put COVID on top of that, and that presents more challenges. So, and I just to mention one thing, when Lori was talking about volunteers, I know it takes a lot of volunteers to run these. One idea is really tapping your sponsors and seeing if your sponsors would like to offer volunteers for the event, because that kind of helps you build some relationships that you might then be able to continue for the future and make it a little easier to access that sponsor when you get those relationships going. So any final questions we missed, Amber?
Yep, there were two final questions, interesting ones. Does anyone ever try to get celebrities or local celebrities to participate? And if so, does that attract more participation or sponsors? Jennifer Donnelly, they're considered trying that with their tournament. And second interesting question to end with is, do golf courses ever donate their courses? And that's from Terry Rideout.
Ladies, celebrities, and donating the course. What have you got?
I know
So
celebrities are on our end, but that sounds fun.
Yeah, we've had some former Braves players come out to, especially the golf tournaments, and then they'll stick around and have their pictures taken with folks, and people really like that. I don't have anything on the golf courses being donated, though. That would be amazing if they would.
How much does it typically cost you guys to rent the course?
So in our case, it was $68 per player.
Okay.
our greens fees, just the greens fees run about 55,000 of our $100,000 budget. So
Wow.
Wow.
that's the most. And then food and beverage is a good 40,000.
Yeah,
For that.
on top of that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it sounds like if you can find a golf course to donate,
Do it.
good on you. Good on you. And celebrities, I'd say if you can get a celebrity, you know, do it. And if it's George Clooney, let me know. I will come to your golf tournament.
What a great idea.
Yeah. So thank you, ladies. Thank you, everybody, for participating. And I appreciate all of your words of wisdom. And we will get those resources out to you. Anything that we haven't addressed here, and I see some great things from the comments, will include. And we really would like to have any suggestions you have for future webinars. Oh, look, I got behind. So next month, we're going to be managing board transitions on February 15th. That's the next webinar. We've got a couple of great people on that, and just looking for ideas. What do you want to hear about, and what do you need? How can we help you? So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mara and Laura and Kathy and Amber. And thanks, everybody in the audience. We hope to see you at conference, April 28th, 29th, and 30th in Charlotte. Registration is free. It is now open on the website. What a great chance it'll be to see each other in person safely and really celebrate the mission that you're all doing such a great job supporting these kids. So thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, thanks.
Hi, thank you.
Bye-bye.